less than 60. A better yet me I building more centennials. Now, one actually we have more than 100 years. Yeah, well, all the spices in the world, all the spices, what by far quabritin or cotton war spice soups. Yang yewu wakolebu yet spices so from ailments are I say, who plans this country? Who plans for us? In Ghana, for many Americans say it's about time. Say, and you know, Mama Yanuni Abruchina say, as I said, Ghana for so you have to demand excellence from our leaders. And if they're not willing to give us the excellence, we have to push them to the side. There is nothing wrong. Say what the NDC or what the MPP are. They are not giving us what we want. And we cannot always be at the bottom of the social ladder, always clamoring for survival. What is this? From oxygen. Oxygen, yadio nyankupon dia chayeng. And so Ghana no nipa from oxygen. How are people dying from oxygen from hospitals?
All right.
Ghana for mo me yaw dodo.
Captain.
Ivan. And a free range to have a person of Fabia.
And young one said, they want the people proud and no manco. And I think said the basic question I may be saying, Mr. Cranty and Bisa say, or more coin fan. That is the basic question. Because answer never catching the partner say, or Tinifie, Ube Biensu, or Muvuno, or Muvun coin fan. That is the question. But you see, I have come to the realization what Tanasana will take a cursory look at. Said the Nema Esikos Wagan higher. The obvious question that always pops to mind is people are here and trust the political power into their hands. Say Omun lady, now Omun engineer the future of this particular country. Do they really think at all? That is a basic question that you might want to start with. And sana what trust or akko, because so Nema no krum hangina a reactionary. But that reactionary posture no yam build your mind. Building a nation is a conscious, deliberate effort where you commit intelligence and effort to time. So you may invest in something out of that, and a be free mamba. Sa countries are at the kind of no be a yababe do a stage. Obe America, everybody will be a try to or per visa. Obi ko UK and answer for it. And sorry, I start you young pound to America from a sort never talk. Some are now world superpowers. In the real world superpower, Russia and UK may fight for the win. And America was not a force to reckon with. Because even that time, they were trying to put their union together. That is why Russia sold Alaska as a land to America. Because they never saw America as a threat. But the people believed in the union, trying to say, the state when together near form a federation, a powerhouse. So they were buying lands, taking California and other places from Mexico to America. And the dream no abaye we ya obia dreaming to go to America obi kura kwa enya na just obeba biem. People, it took deliberate effort by certain individuals along the line. Certain presidents were even sacrificed in the process because of what they believe in, because of their conviction. Into building a nation is a conscious effort. Maka China, the example how they started as a one of the richest country, came back as one of the poorest country, then to where they are today. A conscious, deliberate effort. And yam paibo, nenya mebeye, and ye discarding as for infam build your mind. Captain, so what has been run now in this country? Makacho say a reactionary way na ye. As somewhere by about media, so you can't. There'll be no consequences. Now no me fa motor way so. And chroma in the your friends saying 60s, 50s or hunyan sub the concrete road. Ewo chrome has saying. We've not been able to build a single concrete road anywhere. The the beauty mean and that is so sometimes you begin to wonder. It is not about personality, it is about the kind of intelligence you bring to bear. And none of them must subscribe to give you respect. But if you constantly do all these things, I am not sure it's not just limited to even just politicians. All facets of our society have become part of it. Some who are benefiting don't care about what the ordinary person is going through. Until because some of the mining way now, the gains the henenu make effort on home. and then few people around them, no, they don't care whether the people will live in misery or not. And to be called Kronusuno, or Hennon Quantity, or Mom Nema Eco School Abruchire, or Yaria, he's able to access medical care outside. So it's not just about politicians. Ahemfono are living in real luxury, but go to the town and look at the lives of the people. They don't care about whether there is job or not, because all that power means in this particular Chrome hand say, who didn't pass, who didn't pass. Realizing and then a point here, dialysis crisis. Epidemic media for the past 1 week in a month fire there about Kolebuni and so forth. Captain, begin to ask yourself, say, the actual cause of some of these many kidney diseases nobody is focusing on those things. Nobody. Yet you come also radio na so for only about that for 4 hours. Only Sanse Muno are taking over a media landscape. And people are pushing. And when you allow some of this space, commercial space, need to be flooded by some of these things. I'm not say human so some are so gullible, say they fall for everything. So it is the responsibility of the government to sanitize the space so that those gullible minds do not fall prey to some of these things. But and our person only about that now we say and the beaters metal panties so they been beaters and allow all these things the consequences and the many kidney disease and so for by Captain Oko Kolebua. You don't blame them much. Dialysis machines and so for and these are the real challenges that people are going through. Nasa yetikroma these challenges are real. Lay now so from penny for boca sock, bomb minim case. Yenja ya how ni so na yenkosi cathedral. Emma Yankopon. Mahusa Ebimo air sassy resigned from board, no some man for a bomb. So you see, you are not serious, Kroma. Because you see, Captain, it's not as if they didn't know. When this whole enterprise started, what needs we drum home the many concerns and the many challenges facing the people of this particular country. Catch on say Cathedral at this time because you have Cathedral and teacher of mind by be able to do science. You have innovation in as for you tap in and make sure say you create a certain platform for your youth. Say you make me leverage to maximize their personal and individual potentials because obia will be sana way. But these people told us say ye basic Cathedral ako Israel. Mana then as if I be your friends say heavenly gardens so I said damn as a penny for I say Sabian soon you couldn't put him captain. Ye can't send them away in natural munipa hunyan can anti say kwa pema. Then people are resigning from the board. Just sakake. Captain, me say these are bunch of cowards because they need to have the courage to look to Ghanaians in their faces and apologize to us. Because it's not as if they didn't know. They knew they were privy to Nyama no more then the consequences on the life of the people. And again, so from Bakacha as Ghana Ghana Sika and yet yes I did man. Land down there when land. A government land, prime land, your first cantonment, winning the ball. Again, judges Dana needs one year pull it down. A bicycle near the year. Says Menoka say Waterstone at the government eco court. They are demanding 120 million Ghana cedis. Your friend saying as your first compensation is a buying a sell munuma judgment debt. I hang up buying combs to see I can. Aside that, and I idea the sub consolidated fund mukendo for right than as a forum. And the idea of my yeba and night or mine about to say a captain or my dialysis machine a binha. Go to the surgical ward and go and look at women in misery. Kidney cry chemotherapy or radiation therapy in as for our sabi or monofobacco cancer. I woman yet to try the other ones. Go and look at the pain and the suffering these people are going through. Has government made any deliberate policy say to go to the need of these people? Dialysis machine should be a winner kruma. Nasa mote kroma no munim sa nema we nyina na motenase. Eko disa yemfasi kankwa ye cathedral when you know say o man sika na de kwakwa ya ade no na kodru baabi na mo ankasa motamu akohu say this is not what we bargain for. In any civilized dispensation, the best thing you do is to apologize to the people first. You don't run away from the board like a coward. Because it's not as if you didn't know. We sat here, we told you, said Nema Moya and yet Ghana Sikan yes and upon all the scandals are causing the last thing Ghanaians expect from these people is to be men enough, look us in the faces and then apologize to us because they insulted us when we started say Sade we are muye enya no maya muni dialysis machine cathedral. on my captain, youth unemployment has skyrocketed here to the sense that about a crisis. Uwe University bar, there is no work. Even those within work, you know, they are underemployed because conditions of service in Nasefor is nothing to write home about. Corruption, abaya the order of the day in Nasefor, sa or minor, nasa we in Yamini part, nasa assume a certain divine wisdom. What you do necessary. Ubatine nipano mudu or minor nimno. Captain, there's not about saying Yansa na yenim and I yet na yes I never win them. I catch us yet me I go to church, I pray and I believe in God. But there are certain things that Yankopo Mama Yama won't always a hunipano hunyansasa adia we are may because that is what you do. And if you go to the churches, some are doing well, some are doing better, but there are some are even the very youth know when you do my go and look at what they are doing to them. Who could do church now? Boys and girls in the womb no, nay your brothers and sisters in the church for the purpose that is the main purpose. And the win near Juma Krana, wama, sabi wako pebusian by your wedding. Abra winnie she the obedicula winnie. After 5 years or 1 year after, now by a burden. Go to your father saying, baby, you court or not check it. The marriages are a good. Most of them, if you do research, you come to the realization that most of the people who are going through these challenges, you know, those marriages emanate from the churches. They didn't know each other. Assault for now, and now coming to the realization, say they are not compatible. They cannot live together. And a war zone. Even though it's supposed to be our area, but there is no peace, there is nothing, absolutely nothing. Deceiving people in the name of God. Then I say for them, Captain, me say religion masemra mijimi buy say to complement us and nemane the ye betimi ahyemu kan. Now, when I catch us other places in the farm for Sumia, me catch us Donald Trump ne White House. There is a day every way he does fasting and prayers. They pray for the president every day. He himself, that is why he had issue because he's a conservative, and conservative, their job is to preserve the old order. That is why they are against abortion. That is why they are against LGBT and those things. You know, so they are typical Christians. Typical Christians, but they don't front those things. They don't put it like as someone on Modi Yesu school share na Yesu omoja pade. And you know, the omba kan na eya adwuma. That's like na asofo mo yekroma I say Yesu no obi na di ne school share no. And na japade or no na papa Christ. O de what nchen e na omo ton no ma manfo de gigi sika. Me see yamma ye nti wo kroma na yehu nyansa sebi. Nsem na ye kan no nyansa aspect of it. Na betimi aboy me build your mind. Prayers and as if what that's around pa bompire wo dem na sorry. Adwuma no de aka no it's up to you. Said we obetimi aye. Na ye sa na ada we na ye nkosi cathedral na ye nyese ena ba bedu. So captain, ni nyina say consequences are nipa be face relative to near mo aye no. Any chroma ya delicate from your politics into no ama some level of we be arise here. People feel comfortable say na dey we me ya dey nebesi. When man realize his actions are not followed by consequences and as for now, we are very dangerous in our natural settings. Obia baye the obeye, and until the alcoso till date, you will not find a single person being held accountable or culpable for what is happening. Who the kind of way our government to salvage the situation apart from what is happening in the media houses. Some of the media I don't know who's to go to the aid of the people, but the substantive government agenda a deliberate policy designed to ensure say these people true inactions and until when there is absolutely nothing. Somebody can just mention it. As a country, you have a duty to ensure that in crisis time like this, you go to the aid of the people. But that is not what is happening. Obia dear Fanny Hoodie, President Obia now Omaya Yatima. We went to the elections in the broad day. Absolutely nothing happened. No consequences. President Koku, people were hoping, the family were hoping at least. He never went there. So Kroma Yetino, but until say design deliberate rules of engagement near sunny red lines in the sun say we are there are consequences that be as a basic we won't get anywhere because other countries people have suffered, people have gone to jail for far lesser reasons than the last time I was telling you about what happened in South Korea. Our president Samsung head and as a forum who apparently went to jail. Your friends say Director of National Intelligence was part of this whole thing. He went to jail. These are prominent politicians, prominent individuals. Omono ye hold you accountable just to send a message to the people out there. Say, Omina ye team no, and yes, you can't just do anything away and get away with it. But yet via rim penifo catcher say, ye kohoko catcher say omuntu. So the basic question is omuntu nkwahefa.
Maybe omuntu nkwa ye classroom. And the VR ni abayano share that's a year man kwala o Volta region in school. Because they are safe haven in classrooms. So it's to render the children sit home, don't go to school.
You see, and some of these in any
what is the safe haven in classrooms? It's the same one classroom. No man go school.
Classroom lankasa.
What I say? The safe haven in classrooms.
Yes, classroom lankasa.
Yes. This is illegal.
Classrooms.
This is legal. This is illegal.
Right. And I'm person mechia nipa bakupe. Major General Thomas Opon Prepara. Yes. Major General Thomas Opon Prepara. Yes, he's the Chief of Army Staff. And I met you. So in personally, you ain't share that, but me who there was one time I met you, or I saw you on Gimpa campus. But he's a member of the governing board of NADBO in Zambeza Michiano. I'd like to start with the Ekosubo Mepe. It's interesting. Only said just a few months ago, there was a group in the Volta region of Muslim person with him on free Ghana because they realized they were not getting what they were supposed to get from Ghana. They felt shortchanged. Almost say I got to say Ghana now person would say free Ghana. And people didn't understand. They were arrested. The older man who was leading that exercise, I think he died sometime early this year, and I said last year or something like that. But with everything that's going on, it makes you sit back and you wonder, say, was their call the right call at the right time, or was the right call at the wrong time? But we'll get to these issues. Over a few days, past few days now, I was monitoring the news. I must say, they've called out the army from Mepe and most of those other communities said they should go back to base. And I was wondering, I must say in the search or an investigation to find out why they've been called back now, I must say one of the reasons was that the army was not getting monies to pay for their hotel bills. And I lost it right there. Sir, you deploy army or national soil to go and do an exercise, and they have to go and live in hotels. Where do you hear this thing happening at? No, it's confusing. Maybe I'm the one who is being a little. You've deployed the army to go do some work. One man will discuss go to renting hotels to do an operation. Where do you hear this thing at? I mean, how does it work? Anytime you deploy the army anywhere to do any operation, they set up what we call an FOB, a forward operating base. And see, that is where they create their so-called headquarters, and base, and that's where they operate from. If the area you're going to is under hostile occupation, and I say it's not fit for them to stay there, no, you look for an adjacent town, and that's a bank, and then that's where they set up their FOB. And see, from their major base where they're operating from, they bring all their supplies, the personnel who have been deployed into the FOB, and from the FOB or the forward operating base, that's where they can move into the communities to do their work. But me say that, say, I mean,
that's what you other hotel when you are working.
me say that. Vacation.
I've never heard this anywhere. And to hear said the reason why they are pulling out the army from these affected communities is because they cannot afford to pay their hotel bills. My goodness. I pray it's not so. But then I heard sir VR so almost say earmark about 20 million Ghana cedis to take care of the disaster communities, the disaster hit communities. And you see, in all of these conversations, no, and yet natural disaster, I can't want some more. So if it was rain, and I said flood from rains, no, we can understand and say yes, it was a natural disaster. But this issue of flood and I can't want some, and yet natural disaster, and yet there be. certain people didn't do their work, or certain people deliberately decided to take a set of actions which have caused a lot of people to suffer what they are suffering right now. And so you see, if you ask me, how do I even classify what is happening? This is an attempted genocide, if not genocide. For any single life that is lost in that part of this country, any single life or property that is lost, there is an attempt at genocide. Why do I say this? More engineers were VRA. If nothing at all, VRA is an institution where you have to qualify as some kind of engineer or science-based personnel to receive employment in that institution. And see, to even measure the amount of water behind the walls, the dam walls, to decide, say, is it the right time to spill out those water? It's an engineering feat. You have to be able to calculate and know exactly what is happening before you can take those decisions. And see, if they decide, say, at this point in time, the water behind the dams are going to be at critical levels. Say, you spill gates, you have to have contingency plans. Now, almost say they went to tell the people, the communities, or they informed the communities, and then the communities did not heed to the warnings. That does not make sense anywhere. And see, Marco Catro Amafo say Muntu free because there's going to be floods, and the people say yenko. Then because the people said yenko, you go ahead and then you.
No, the people did not tell anybody.
I'm just saying. Say they claim they went to warn the people, but the people did not move.
They did not warn anybody. But
I'm saying, sir, I'm playing devil's advocate, sir. If the
even if they warned them,
yes.
Okay,
so
fine.
Assuming without admitting, say they even went there and they warned the people, say this is what's going to happen. No problem. If the people said because you need baby, no problem. Is the next line of action to just go and open the gates and spill the water just to clear the path and to dam with anyone else?
Genocide.
That's what I'm saying. So if it was me and we're asking how do you classify this, this is an attempted genocide on a group of people, and this cannot be let slide. Captain, every single member of the military should bow their heads in shame this morning, particularly the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Thomas Opong Prepra. He should bow his head in shame. I like this man a lot, but I'm saying he's one of the members of the governing council of the NADMO. And see, if he is at work, at post, and all these things are happening under his watch, he should bow his head in shame this morning. And say, I'd really like to have a conversation with you if I could. But to be a governing member of NADMO, for all of these things to be happening, a man of his caliber and stature to sit down.
They spilled the water before they were even called.
No problem. But my problem is,
but let me even add something to it. The seriousness of this whole matter, the Ghana Armed Forces was not informed about the spillage.
Right.
They were not.
NADMO was actually didn't know the details of this whole spillage.
Yes.
So who authorized it? VRA.
They want to warn about
Debbie.
And their so-called community engagement
right.
was the DCs.
Oh,
they met the MMDCs.
You gotta be kidding me.
And some few people from the various areas that are affected. That's their community engagement. So when they saw the devastation that they've caused, then they decided to do proper consultation after they've caused the mess.
Yes.